and welcome to this edition of On the Edge in Focus. I'm Jasmine Campride, and I'm here with the new Vice President for Human Resources, Diversity, and Inclusion, Lori Gentles. Hello, Lori. Welcome. Glad to have you here today.
Hi.
Could you tell us a little bit about human resources and diversity? What is it exactly?
You know, the field of human resources is one of those areas where we have the privilege and honor of providing comprehensive services to faculty and staff. We do everything from recruitment to retirement and everything in between. I like to consider human resources as bridging life's transitions, again, where we cover everything from recruitment and to retirement and everything in between. We also consider ourselves as cultural architects, where we build and shape the culture in alignment with the university's strategic goals. And we do that through a number of different programs, such as I mentioned, recruitment, but also benefits, risk management, and environmental health and safety, pay, of course. We have to pay people. So there's a number of different programs in human resources that really does touch the lives of all of our faculty, staff, and student employees as well.
And when you say recruitment, do you mean recruitment in terms of employment, or what do you exactly mean when you say that?
It's employment recruitment,
Okay.
right? So we staff the entire organization. So everyone that's here working on this campus has to go through human resources. They had to come through human resources to be officially employed.
So what do you see the goal as being this year? I know you're new to our campus and you're new in this position. What's the main focus for the Human Resources Department this year?
Well, this position was specifically created, one, to oversee human resources, so all of those standard programs that I mentioned to you. But this position is unique in that it really does have an emphasis and focus on diversity and inclusion. And what that means is that my role is specifically to increase the diversity within the faculty and staff ranks, because we believe that a diverse faculty and staff really does contribute to the overall learning experience of our students.
No, I agree.
Yeah, and so that's one of the main goals of my position, is to focus on that. Also to make sure that once people actually do get here, they feel comfortable in being here. They feel welcomed, they feel included, that their differences or who they are is embraced in this university. So those are the types of things that I'll be focusing on in this new position.
And how do you see, we're opening up, diversity and inclusion. How do you see that expanding upon employment? Do you see it adding more opportunities in terms of employment for students, or how do you see that?
Well, it's not so much employment for students, it's really is to impact their experience as a student, right? Because again, we believe that our students that graduate from this university will have to compete in a global society.
Yes.
And if you can have a diverse faculty and staff, international faculty and staff, people from different walks of life, that is going to contribute to the students' understanding of what it means to work in a multicultural society. And so when they do graduate, they're able to compete internationally. They're able to compete even nations, within our nation, but with all forms of diversity.
And I think that's, I don't know, do you agree with me? Do you think it's more so important in today's society that we know how to work in more diverse environments? Do you think that this program is going to help students gain better experience in that?
Absolutely. I just think that working in a homogeneous environment or going to school in a homogeneous environment where everyone's the same, everyone has the same belief system, the same values, that you are not becoming the most well-rounded individual that you need to be in order to compete. And the world is shrinking. I mean, due to the internet and different things within the world has gotten smaller, meaning that there's a lot of back and forth across borders. And so students need to be able to understand cultural differences, and they can learn a lot of that through their faculty. So
yeah, and I couldn't agree more. Is there any personal experience that has what made you interested in this position and in diversity and human resources?
Well, that's a good question. So I've been in human resources for about 25 years now. And so I started in private sector and public sector, and now in higher education. And the entire 25 years, the human resources function has been more at a middle manager role. This is the first university within the California State University system that has elevated this position to an executive level. And that's due to the vision and the foresight of our president, President Mildred Garcia, because she really believes that in order to effectuate change, cultural change, at a strategic level, the position needs to be at a higher level. So that's the exciting thing about it, is that it really was an elevation from my previous experience in human resources, and it gives me the ability to make strategic, sustainable, and transformational change across the campus, more so than just being transactional and process-oriented entity.
Right. And we talk about sustainability. What kind of programs, are there any kind of programs that we're going to be introducing to campus in order to sustain the change that we're hoping to bring about?
Well, that's, again, another very good question, because my job is not to just introduce programs that are separate and distinct and not a part of the fiber and fabric of the organization. In order to really effectuate sustainable change, it needs to be integrated into everything that we do. So the university has recently implemented our 5-year strategic plan, which has 4 goals in it. I'm specifically responsible for goal number 3, which is to recruit and retain a high-quality, diverse faculty and staff. So, but all of the goals, though, within the strategic plan, we cannot just have the strategic plan in a booklet and just do programs that are specific to that. We really have to say, what does this mean in every aspect of everything that this university does? I mean, every hire that we make, every function that we have to align everything that we do with the strategic plan. That's how you sustain the program, the change.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I know you talked about recruiting staff, and what do you look for when you're looking to recruit staff? Is there any kind of tip you can give us? What is it that makes that look,
Well, one of the things that I try to do when you're recruiting staff and faculty, we're trying to effectuate change, right? So what does that change mean? What qualities, characteristics, attributes do we want new people coming in with? So one of the things that we've started to do in human resources is really do a little bit more customization in our job advertisements. For example, we might say looking for someone that is enthusiastic, excited about change, ready to be a part of a family, a university family or something like that. Because when you do a little bit more of the customized recruiting, you're going to attract a different type of individual. We don't want people coming here just for a job. We really want people coming here that understand our mission, that want to be a part of it, that are excited about it. And so that's what we're looking for.
Who want to help us create that change, right?
Absolutely. So when you're creating change, you have to work with people that are already here and get them on board and have them be champions for the change. And then the new people that you're bringing in, you need to make sure that they're coming with that mindset already.
So it sounds like you're trying to get everybody kind of more on the same page in order to connect the program and connect everybody.
Absolutely.
Correct. What about students? Let's talk about students a little bit. How is this going to affect students?
Again, this is the beauty of this position, because no other human resources position other than the one that we've just created here has the focus and the goal of really not just focusing on faculty and staff, but also making sure that everything that we do impacts students. So we are all focused on student success. And so what does that mean from a human resources standpoint? There's a lot of ways that we can intersect and interact with students that people don't typically think of when they think of human resources. So, for example, I talked earlier about human resources as cultural architects. And building and shaping culture. One way that we could do that is through new employee orientation. So what we've done now is with our new employee orientation, we make sure that we indoctrinate, for lack of a better word, indoctrinate our new employees what their real job is, and their real job is student success.
Right.
Even if they're hired to do IT, even if they're hired to do custodial work, we believe that everything that we do, the custodian when they clean the library, when they clean study spaces, that's aiding in the student's overall experience.
Right, it's bettering our environment.
It's bettering the environment. It's giving the students a clean and respectful place to study, which again translates into an experience that they have, because student success is not just in the classroom, it's also the outside of the classroom. And so that's one of the ways that we can address that. I also oversee safety and risk management. So we make sure that the students have a safe learning environment. And so we oversee the Title IX program, where we inform students as well as faculty and staff what to do in the event that a student has a complaint about harassment or something of that nature. We want to make sure that we don't tolerate that kind of activity. So human resources, again, is very involved with making sure that we are communicating effectively with the students and staff and letting them know, informing them of their rights, and if they are ever violated, what steps they can take to make sure that the situation is remedied.
Right. And we talk a lot about the faculty and staff touching on the students and helping the students, but is there anything students can do to help the program also, and to help kind of push for that change as well? Like, what can we do as students?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of my goals this first year, fiscal year 2013, 2014, is to really establish a baseline of information on how people are experiencing our campus. Do they feel included? Do they feel that it's a diverse entity? And one way that we're doing that is the president appointed a diversity task force that includes students. Students are a part of that. So I'm leading a diversity task force that's focusing on putting together a climate survey that the whole campus will take. And we have student voice on that. We're getting their perspective. They'll be a part of it. And so that's what I mean by inclusion. Everybody plays a role.
And how would you get involved? Let's say you wanted to be that student voice. How would you, because this is new to me, I haven't heard this, so how would I get involved in that?
So a lot of the times we look at ASI. We look at ASI to either nominate or recommend people that can be involved with that. And what would you say, how easy is it for students to communicate? We talked about communicating. Is it easy to communicate with the Human Resources Department, or how accessible do you plan to make the department to students and faculty? I want it to be completely accessible, and which is a change, right? So that's going to be a shift that we have to make. We're not there yet. I'm sending the message that it's accessible, but I don't think students typically think of human resources as a place that they can go, and we want them to think of that as a place that they can go to, in addition to student affairs and other areas that they get resources and information. But human resources is a great resource for students to learn about employment, right?
And I think oftentimes we forget too as students that it's there, and we forget to use it.
Exactly.
How important do you think it is kind of opening up and making sure students know that it is accessible to us? Do you see this making a change and making a difference?
Yeah. I think we have a lot of communication to do in education, partnerships, getting the word out there that we are available and what we're available for. That's the other thing. What are we available for?
Right.
I know we have the Student Center and the career counseling, but we also can partner and do career counseling, help with resume writing, things of that nature, just, that type of communication. Right now, we are putting a little more emphasis on our student employment. One of my goals is to make sure that student workers on our campus, that they are getting as much of a real-world work experience as possible. We don't want them just sitting there answering phones and doing homework or whatever. We want to give them a real experience so they can add to their portfolio. So when they are looking for a job, they can say, I had real work experience. So that's one of the things that I'll be working with Dr. Berenicia Ains, who's the VP of Student Affairs, on bridging that and shoring that up a little bit more.
Yeah, and you kind of did touch upon it, but in terms of accessibility, is it going to be online accessibility, or is it going to be you can go talk to someone one-on-one, or what other kind of, I think you mentioned resume workshops?
That's
or
right.
Is there any other kind of program that's going to be open to students that can help them in finding employment through the
Right.
human resources
You know, one of the things
department?
that I would like to do, and this is some time down the line, I mean, not 10 years down the line, but it
Right.
won't be this year, but one of the things that I'm very interested in is public-private partnerships to help students with internships.
Okay.
Right? What can we be doing? Who do I know? What businesses do I know out there that I can broker relationships with, along with some of my other colleagues, leaders of the campus, to provide opportunities for internships and things of that nature.
And I think they're overlooked a lot of time, internships. How important do you think that is in today's market in terms of
I think
in
it's
terms of
very
finding
important.
employment?
It's so important because, as many of the students are aware, it's difficult to find a job now. I mean, we
Yes.
read it in the paper, we hear it on the news, how
Yes.
difficult it is for students that are graduating to find a job, the high level of debt that they are in, many of them are in,
Yes.
because, you know, they can't even find a job to pay that off. So connections are very important. I'm a product of a public-private partnership. When I was in undergrad, I did work
Yes.
30 hours a week, and once I graduated, I was hired on professionally. So
Okay.
I know that that's very important. I had an advantage over other students who didn't have the ability to work during the summer at a real organization or for a co-op or internship.
So I feel like if we, by having a stronger department, I think we're going to build a stronger kind of like a workforce as well, because in the end, students are going to be going out into the workforce. Would you agree with me, or how do you think it's going to contribute to that?
I think that that is correct. You know, I think that you know, as a university, we really do want to have an impact on the economy. Like, we're producing workers, right? People that are going to go out and start their own businesses and go out and contribute to the economy and to the workforce. And so, yeah, that's the overall mission. And the university is pretty proud right now of the impact and the reach that we actually do have in the state of California and beyond.
And I know we talked about it not being, it's not an overnight thing that's going to happen. The change isn't just going to happen so quickly. But in terms of this year, for this year, what is your main goal? Where do you see us headed this year?
The main goal, anytime you're going to implement changes, you have to get data. You have to know where you are. So we're establishing a baseline or benchmark, and that's going to come through the survey, through the climate survey that the diversity task force that I talked about a little bit ago. We're responsible for actually implementing a survey, and that's going to happen in the spring of 2014. So we're working on that now, and that'll give us really good information as to where we are and where we need to go, and then we'll build a plan from that point on. So that really is my main focus this year.
All right, well, it sounds good. We're so glad to have you here. And that's it for this edition of In Focus on the Edge. I'm Jasmine. Thank you so much for being here with us.